Shigaraki reveals his new monstrous form, some old friends and enemies make a reappearance, and Toga discovers Midoriya's biggest weakness? Let's talk about all of this and more as we dive right into the newest chapter of My Hero Academia. So My Hero Academia Chapter 347 is finally out, and with it we learn what exactly is Shigaraki's new hand power that can bypass Aizawa's erasure quirk, as well as what is happening at the aquarium with Midoriya Uraraka and Toga. And let me just say, it's most certainly not the double date of Midoriya's dreams. But before I begin talking about this chapter, I'm first going to go into a quick summary of what happened last time. And as usual, don't forget to Detroit smash that like button and slide on into that subscribe button's DMs to hit that notification bell. In the last chapter, we saw King Face Cream Shigaraki face off against the Genus Police, Pantman, Anger Issues, Food Junkie, Doesn't Get Enough Screen Time, Ninja Boy, and the beautifully brutal Bunny Babe in the floating city of UA High School. Initially, Shigaraki, rightfully so, doesn't seem too fazed by this confrontation, but he and we quickly learn that this is no ordinary floating school in the sky, as it turns out that the entire floating island is actually an anti-Shigaraki cage, where everything from the spring-loaded floors to the high-voltage ceilings was made with the sole purpose of putting a stop to the symbol of dry skin. We also learned that this facility is currently being run by a plethora of heroes and support corps students who are keeping the island afloat and functional with their quirks and their brains. Some notable members of this cacophony of heroes include the Electric Dud, Kaminari, and Class 1B's Manga Fukudashi, who are powering the entire island with their quirks, Monoma, Aizawa, and Manuel, who are using their combined quirks to keep erasing all of Shigaraki's ones, and finally there's the masterfully magnificent Momo Yaoyorozu and the maniacal mischievous misfit mechanical mastermind Mei Hatsume, who are working together to replace any instruments or machinery that get damaged in the ensuing carnage. Gotta say, it's a pretty slick setup, and they all work together like a well-oiled machine to aid the Pants Patrol, I'm changing their name to that now, it sounds way better, in taking down Shigaraki. That is until Tomura pulls out a surprise of his own, as he, despite being under Aizawa's erasure, somehow manages to enlarge his arm and send a gigantic barrage of hands at Mirko, greatly injuring the heroine and leaving the heroes in shock, unsure what to do next. And this is where chapter 347 picks up. This chapter opens up with the heroes at UA asking Monoma if something went wrong with his erasure quirk because of the hands that started to come out of Shigaraki. But Monoma states that no, Shigaraki still shouldn't be able to use his quirks. And it's here where Tomura himself explains to the heroes that the hands coming out of his body aren't because of a quirk, and are in actuality just the natural growth of his body. Shigaraki says that just like the way people's hair and fingernails grow, his flesh is expanding. However, Shigaraki does clarify that the cause of this sudden expansion is the effect of numerous quirks evolving in his body. And as he says this, we see this monstrous image of Shigaraki's new gigantic hand-riddled form as he explains that the heroes don't understand the real implication of this evolution, as this is the end result of the quirk singularity theory, which Dr. Garaki hypothesized. Basically, Shigaraki explains that his body is taking on this massive, terrifying new form in an attempt to save itself from being destroyed by the power of his quirks. And that with the exponential increase in power of quirks that comes with every new generation, eventually the entirety of the human race will become just like this. So, are like the hands a part of the whole thing? Because I'm just saying, it seems awfully convenient that the guy with a massive hand fetish is turning into giant hands. Following Shigaraki's explanation, we see that Mirko has escaped and survived the initial barrage of Shigaraki's hand attack transformation, Tank All Might, at the cost of her mechanical arm and leg. But this proves to be no inconvenience at all, as Mirko shouts, "Spares," and we see a compartment come out of the ground, giving her replacement limbs to to equip. Man, this place has got everything. Upon reattaching her limbs, Mirko informs Bakugo not to rush in head first. But instead of just calmly taking her advice, Bakugo does take note, but also has a hissy fit and gets in an argument with Mirko about her not addressing him as his hero name, Dynamite. Monoma then reassures Aizawa that he hasn't failed and continues to erase Shigaraki's quirks, and Aizawa says that he knows Monoma hasn't, but he is still worried. Mandalay of the Wild Wild Pussycats, who is also there with Aizawa and Monoma, says that Midoriya has contacted her through her telepathy quirk, which is actually kind of an interesting point, as up to this point in the story, it was assumed her power could only go one way, so she must have improved her quirk. Mandalay then informs Aizawa that Midoriya was pulled away by Himiko Toga and is now on Ukuto Island, an island we learn that is roughly 200 kilometers off the coast of the Pacific Ocean and is home to the famous Ukuto Aquarium, an aquarium of which Gang Orca is the director of and is also where Midoriya and the others are currently fighting. After Midoriya informs Mandalay and the others of his location, he goes to ask Monoma to open another portal to bring him to them. But before he can, a scream is heard on Midoriya's end and the communication between the two is cut off. Did Midoriya just mind hang up on Mandalay? Is that a thing people can do? In this brief moment of disconnection, Aizawa remembers the limitation of Monoma's quirk, and how while he can copy multiple quirks, he can't use two quirks simultaneously. So, to open a portal to Midoriya, he would have to turn off Erasure for at least 10 seconds. And in that very brief moment, if Shigaraki used his decay with his new giant hand, it would be all over for the heroes. Mandalay then manages to get in contact with Midoriya again, and Aizawa tells him that he will have to get to UA on his own, since it won't be possible to open any more portals. He also informs Midoriya that while he is making his way here, the heroes will still try to defeat Shigaraki even without the help of One for All, as we see this shot here showing the 6 heroes preparing to give it their all in the battle with Shigaraki. Alright, who do you think is gonna die out of this group? Let me know in the comments below. Following all of this, the scene then cuts to Okuto Island, where we see Gang Orca shouting out to the others to dodge, as a nearby floating Nomu, who is slamming the ground with different elongated floating body parts, is generating huge destructive waves of water. Chaos then breaks out at the Okuto Aquarium as dozens of heroes and villains begin to battle it out. Amongst the villains, we see Moonfish, the death row convict who Bakugo, Todoroki, and Tokoyami fought during the training camp arc, who has one of the most terrifying quirks in the series if you ask me. And amongst the heroes, we see Sirius, sidekick to pro hero Selkie, who up to this point was actually an anime-only character. So it's great to see that now she is officially in the manga canon. Amidst all of the carnage of this battle between good and evil, Sirius checks up on her now longtime friend, Froppy, who replies that she is a-okay, but exclaims that Deku and Uraraka were separated from the rest of the group after the last wave attack. The story then cuts to Ochako and Deku, where we see Midoriya inform Uraraka that Aizawa has told him he will have to make it to UA on his own. Midoriya then tries to make his way to UA, but before Uraraka can even wish him good luck, Himiko Toga jumps in and speedily cuts him off, exclaiming that she doesn't want him to leave as she begins to attack him. As Toga charges Midoriya with a series of knife attacks, Midoriya becomes confused as to why his danger sense isn't activating. But Midoriya then remembers that the Ford user told him for danger sense to activate, his opponent must truly want to hurt him. In remembering this, Midoriya asks Toga what does she want from him, to which Toga merely responds that she would like him to become her boyfriend. And with this, chapter 347 comes to an end, as Deku comes to the realization that Toga truly believes that hurting others is an expression of pure admiration and love. So Danger Sense doesn't recognize her as a threat, making her completely immune to the quirk. Overall, this was a decent chapter. In my opinion, there was nothing really spectacular or amazing about it, but there was still some pretty cool moments. Shigaraki's new transformation and the reveal of the effects of the quirk singularity was interesting, albeit a bit confusing. The Pant Patrol, that's their name now, I don't care, taking on Shigaraki without Midoriya should be really awesome to see. Mandalay's telepath quirk being able to commute both ways is probably something no one else cares about, but I thought it was super cool. Moonfish coming back and Sirius becoming manga canon was a nice surprise, and Toga being immune to Midoriya's danger sense was interesting to say the least. The only real complaints I have about Toga being immune to danger sense is, one, I honestly thought Midoriya's danger sense not activating would be hinting that she's not actually trying to attack him and was just really trying to separate him from the group so they can talk one-to-one. Something I'm pretty sure they have never properly done. And two, can't Midoriya just Superman punch Toga into space at this point? Like, she's just an ordinary human. Can't he just... and problem solved. But let me know what you think of this chapter. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and comment what you think is going to happen next. For more My Hero content like this, subscribe to the Lunchtime Crew. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Plus Ultra.